Well, the fallout has continued overnight from Harry and Meghan's bombshell interview with Oprah Winfrey. Just have a look at the papers coming out of the UK. These are the front pages. The Sun says, Meg, I felt suicidal. The Daily Mirror reads, Charles and William's immense sadness. Let's take a look at the Daily Star, fights, camera, action. And the Daily Mail says, how dark will baby's skin be? For more on this, I'm joined from London by the Australian's Europe correspondent, Jacquelin Magnay. Jacquelin, I'm really interested in your sense of the feeling on the ground in Britain. How have the British people reacted, do you think?
Well, they've reacted with horror. They've reacted with enormous concern. But I don't think it really changes most of the public's perception about Meghan and Harry. Before the interview was aired, there was a lot of, let's say, they felt that the couple had abandoned the UK, that they hadn't given the royal family all of their efforts and that they had abandoned them. And so there isn't much sympathy for them, really, although there is enormous shock about the claims of racism. And while people felt that this was going to be aired in some way, and unfairly so, the fact that it has been so blunt and about Archie has raised enormous concerns.
Well, let's go to that claim, because the allegation was in relation to an unnamed member of the royal family about his skin tone, the son's skin tone. I know there's been a lot of debate in the UK that if you raise something like that, you've got to sort of go the whole way and name the individual. Oprah had a clarification on this morning. I'm interested in what that clarification was. But has there been any chatter in the UK about who this royal might be?
Well, initially there would have been, most people would have thought it was Prince Philip because he's known for his gaffes and very much his blunt way of speaking. But it wasn't Prince Philip. Harry has told Oprah that it wasn't his grandmother, the Queen, nor his grandfather, Prince Philip, who at the moment is still in hospital recovering from a serious heart operation. So that then kind of puts the spotlight on which family member was it and who would have had the authority or the audacity to talk to Harry about that at the time. And there really it narrows down the field enormously, doesn't it? But the concern here is that this statement has been made, this bombshell has been landed without any context of what that interview or what that conversation may have been. Harry says it happened very early on. And you can imagine a conversation then by someone in the palace talking about the ramifications of perhaps marrying Meghan. She's a divorcee, she's American, she's biracial, would be a late mother, the difficulties of perhaps of conceiving, what the baby would look like. So there are many ways in which this could have been raised that was perhaps far more innocent than what it's being portrayed as. But, of course, there needs to be more of an investigation about it and more detail needs to be known before we can really draw any conclusions about it.
I want to go to this whole idea too, that the title, she talked about the title being linked to police protection, but the lack of title for her son. Initially, we thought last year when he was born that they chose that he would not have a title, pretty much the way that Princess Anne did with her two children. But last night, the chatter was about the fact that, she's saying there that they wanted a title, they were denied a title, as if there was some slight against him being a mixed race member of the royal family. But of course, that's not the rule. Jackie, the rule goes back to George V, and it's Archie's place in the pecking order that determines whether he gets a title or not his parentage. Well, it is his parentage because it comes from his father, obviously, but not his skin colour, is it?
Yes, that's right. I mean, it's the George V rule, and Meghan even referred to it in the interview. So she was very much aware that this was a convention that goes back more than 100 years. 1917, it was introduced, and it means that the grandchildren of the king or the queen can become titled prince or princess. Now, Archie is a great-grandchild, not a grandchild, and so once Prince Charles becomes king, then Archie could become titled as a prince. So it just seems a bit strange that she knew of the convention but then was making allegations that it was prejudice and because of racial undertones that Archie was not given this title. It seemed like she was asking for special treatment in some way, that perhaps she didn't really understand the pecking order, as you say, or how the royal title systems go.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, I made the point last night, she's got a Bachelor of International Relations, she's in her mid-30s, she's quite sophisticated. This idea that she didn't Google the royal family, that she had to learn God Save the Queen, I don't know. Look, has there been a response from the palace, and what chances do you give reconciliation here?
There hasn't been a response so far. The Queen's courtiers had prepared a response. The Queen has wanted to wait a little bit longer. And part of this is that there's still about 40 minutes of the interview that hasn't been aired. And there's a feeling that perhaps further bombshells could land, or that the palace might respond and it could become a tit-for-tat war. So they're very keen to downplay that. If there is a response, it will be a warm response. I think we might be surprised about how the Queen would reach out to Harry and Meghan to try and bring them back into the fold and to acknowledge their deep pain and hurt, which might surprise many people who might think, hey, we should just strip them of their Duchess and Duke titles. So it remains to be seen. That we have not seen that statement as yet. If it comes, it may be more delayed than what we would expect. It may not be an immediate response. I think the palace is reeling so much that they're in a bit of crisis. They are in deep crisis mode at the moment about how to respond.
Well, I love reading what you write in The Australian, Jacquelin. I'll follow it all closely, and I'm sure you'll keep us across all the news out of London. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Peter.